Welcome to Davey's Take. Today we're talking about Alien Romulus, the newest film in the Alien franchise. So Alien Romulus is a direct sequel to Alien. It takes place between Alien and Aliens. To be honest, I didn't know how I was feeling going into this because the Alien franchise, I really loved the first movie. It's one of my favorite movies ever, and I love the second movie. It's one of my favorite movies ever. And since then, all the movies have just been okay. I'm excluding those Alien versus Predator movies. But like Alien 3 is fine. I do enjoy Prometheus, but it's not as bad as everyone says. It's also not as good as some people say too. And then Alien Covenant, I don't even really remember that movie too much. There's like parts of it I clearly remember, but overall I don't remember much of it. And Alien Resurrection is just, I mean, that's cinema right there. I guess what I'm trying to say is this franchise has just been pumping out okay movies. Nothing spectacular, but nothing bad, which is this weird state of limbo. It's almost like your favorite sports team. They make the playoffs like every other year, maybe every year, but they always lose in like the first round. They're not bad enough to maybe be good eventually, and they're not good enough to where they're winning championships. And that's kind of how I feel about the Alien franchise right now. I will say the one thing that got me excited about this film is the director, Fede Alvarez. He has made films like the Evil Dead remake and Don't Breathe, which I really love Don't Breathe. And I watched the first trailer, and just the way it was shot and how it was marketed, I'm not going to lie, I got somewhat excited for this film. And I'm happy to say I actually really enjoyed Alien Romulus. I would have to think about it, but I can confidently say that this is probably my favorite Alien movie since Aliens. The best part about this film is the filmmaking. Fede Alvarez, I mean, the shots here are so great. The way that the camera just stays on some of these shots, the lighting, the colors, the framing, it is magnificent. Combine that with some incredible special effects, these grand shots, you could tell that he really understood some of the ways that Ridley Scott made that original film. And that's what this film really feels like. It feels like a love letter to that original film and the whole entire franchise. There's a lot of moments in here that I thought were really well done, that were some good callbacks to the original movie, some of the other movies too. It almost tries to tie together all the other films in this franchise. And like I said, it almost feels like a love letter to all of them. But there's another side of that I'll get to later. But I just wanted to say, the movie felt like it was an Alien movie. It really felt like we were back in this universe that I find really fascinating. And that's another thing I think this film does well. It expands some of the aspects and lore to this universe when it comes to some of our main characters and the situations that they're in and what they're trying to do. And I thought all that stuff was really interesting. It feels organic. It really feels like this would be part of this universe that Ridley Scott created back in 1979. And it works really well. And staying with the filmmaking here, the sequences in this film are extremely well done. There are a lot of sequences that remind me of that original film that contain horror in a ship that feels really lived in. But then there are other sequences that feel like a fun, exciting action sequence. So this film almost feels like a great combination of Alien and Aliens. And another thing this film does really well is establish our main characters. You understand where they're coming from. You understand the goal that they're trying to achieve. So the choices they make, they feel in character. And I love how each character feels different. It feels like there's real personality there. Kaylee Spaney was magnificent here. I really loved her performance. I really liked her character. She's probably my favorite performance in the film, and she's just been doing really great things lately. Another performance I really loved was David Johnson. I don't really want to talk about what his character is too much because of spoilers, but there's a really interesting angle there. And I thought he was really interesting, and I just really loved his performance. And I really like the overall story here. It feels like when we get to a certain point in the film, it never lets up, it's always intense, and the pacing is really well done. And there's parts of the story that feel different from other Alien movies because of what our characters are trying to do and the situation that they're in. But this goes into one of my issues with the movie. Sometimes the story can feel a little repetitive from the previous films. And because of that, there's certain parts of it that take a little bit of time to develop some parts in the film where it can be kind of slow towards the beginning. And like I said, some of those plot points feel somewhat familiar, which that goes into what I was kind of saying earlier about some of the callbacks. There are some callbacks in here that I think they went a little too far. A little too crazy with some of the member berries where I almost rolled my eyes. And there's one specific casting choice where I get why they did it, but I'm just kind of tired of this trend that some of these big movies do nowadays, and I felt like they should have done it differently because it's a little distracting. There's parts throughout the story where it almost feels like he's talking through us through like a theme park ride, like a monitor or something, being like, you gotta go do this now. Oh, we gotta go do this. And like I said, it's just a trend that I'm just tired of, and I get why they did it, but I wish they did it a little differently because, like I said, it goes into one of my issues where it feels like they're almost doing too many member berries. They're doing too much of those callbacks, where some of them are really great, but some of them are a little annoying. But overall, those were my issues, and I have to say the positives in this film, I think, really outweigh my issues, partly because I didn't have too many expectations going into this film, even though I love this franchise, and I love Xenomorphs, like the coolest movie creature ever. But I was surprised by this film. I had a really good time. I think this is probably the best Alien movie since Aliens. I would have to think about that. There's a few I haven't seen in a long time. But I just thought this was a really intense, exciting film that does have good callbacks to this franchise with characters that I was really invested in, I thought were interesting and had their different personalities. And the filmmaking here was just great. It was shot incredible. The sequences were really well done. If you're a big fan of this franchise, I am sure you're going to have a great time. I'm going to give Alien Romulus 8 Davey Days. There's also a jump scare here that was super effective. I did not see that coming. And there's something that happens at the end that is a good callback to one of the films of the franchise, but I could definitely see some people being turned off by that and being like, what the fuck? But I gotta say, it had probably the most gruesome, most gross, violent thing that happened in the whole entire movie. And that's another thing of this movie. It's fucking bloody violence, and if you like that, you're really gonna enjoy this film. So, Alien Romulus. Let me know what you guys thought of it once you've seen it. I'm curious to hear. And thank you so much for watching. Click here to see more of Davey Day's Takes.